Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a good night. I just want to do a little bit of reading real quick and Abraham and Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, before I read this, I'm going to reveal a few things. And when I do, I just want everybody to know that I am here for you. I am understanding. I am peace and love. And so remember, we were all essentially born into this. So no, we can't really be blamed for any of this. So before I read any of this, you're going to notice a lot of names have AI and AM in them. Not only that, you may notice that the term Brahma comes from something else, or Abraham comes from something else. It comes from Brahmaham. And basically, that's like the meat or the people or the spirit of Brahma spreading throughout Babylon. So, well, spreading from Babylon out throughout the rest of the world. If you pay attention, Abraham or Brahmaham is kin to Nimrod and those people in Babylon and those places. Well, the thing about what I'm about to say is those people in a long time ago were of Sanatan Dharma. You notice how they call it Satan now, and they were what's the word I'm looking for? They were, I don't want to say heathens, but they were super polytheistic. Everything was a god. You can look up in India today. It was a lot different, like a long time ago, but then a lot of polytheism mixed into it. So the reason I'm bringing any of this up is because of Melchizedek. And you guys will talk about Melchizedek a lot, and I'm going to show how he's Melech and how basically he's the king of Sodom. And so Abram rescues Lot. At the time when Raphael was king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Kedora Laomer, king of Elam, the Am, or God Am, and Tidal, king of Goyim. These kings went to war against Bera, king of Sodom, Birsha, king of Gomorrah, Sinhab, king of Admah, and Shember, king of Zeboim. Now, if you notice, all these names and gods have Am and I am in them, and the king of Belta, that is Zor. All these latter kings joined the forces of the valley of Siddim, that is the Dead Sea Valley. Now, if you guys pay attention, Abraham was a hunter of men. I don't think people are catching this. He's dominating these people. For 12 years, right, 12, they had been subject to Kedor Lamar, but in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Kedor Lamar and the kings allied with him went out and defeat the Rephites in Ashtaroth, Canaram, the Zuzites in Ham, the Emites in Shaveh, Kirithium, and the Horites in the hill country of Seir, as far as El Paran near the desert. Then they turned back and went into En Mishpat. So if you notice all these L's and Am's and all this other stuff, I'm telling you guys, these Semitic people mixed over into Egypt and they spread a lot of these gods and names. And you notice how they wrote in there, the God of Shem will be blessed and then the God of Japheth will extend his borders. I'm telling you guys, different men throughout history are writing this stuff. And they conquered the whole territory of the Amalekites, as well as the Amorites who were living in Hezezon, Tamar. Then the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, and all these kings marched up and drew their battle lines in the valley of Siddim against king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goyim, and all these kings. Now the valley of Siddim was full of tar pits, and when the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, some of the men fell into them, and the rest fled into the hills. So this is basically saying their kings and gods went into the pits and into these books. The four kings seized all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and their food when they went away. They also carried off Abram's nephew Lot and his possessions, since he was living in Sodom. A man who had escaped came and reported this to Abram the Hebrew. Now Abram was living near the great trees of Mamre, the Amorite. So listen, I'm about to tell y'all. You see, Abraham was the first Hebrew, right? Now, this man later on goes into Egypt and does a bunch of stuff. The Hyksos in this same time period invade Egypt, plague Pharaoh, and then all these gods mixed into their culture. You see what I'm saying? And then a man named Moses comes and draws from this, but then men after him with his garment, Menhotep or something like that, and then the 3 Tutmoseses, they all started switching stuff up and spreading this stuff throughout the world. Eshcol and Ener. Now Abram was living near the great trees of Mamre, the Amorite, a brother of Eshcol and Ener, all of whom were allied with Aram. When Abram heard that his relative had been taken captive, he called out the 318 trained men born in the household and went in pursuit as far as Dan. During the night, Abram divided his men to attack them, and he routed them, pursuing them as far as Hobah, north of Damascus. He recovered all the goods and brought back his relative Lot and his possessions, together with the women and the people. So he took all the people. After Abram returned from defeating Kedorlaomer and the king's ally with him, the king of Sodom came out to meet him in the valley of Shavah. Then Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out the bread and wine. See, like, so notice right here, the king of Sodom comes out, but then the king Melchizedek, king of Salem, comes out. They're switching names and stuff and plaguing you guys. Blasphemies against who I am is written, all of this stuff. If you take okay, you guys like Hebrew. If you take the vowels out of this word, Melchizedek, you get M-L-C-H-Z-D-K. It's Melech Zedek. I'm telling y'all, the Jews of Melech. Abraham went and hunted. How do you think he became father of all these people? He went and hunted these men with something, because all these men have the covenant. And when I say the covenant, it isn't exactly 10 commandments at first. It's the ark. It's the knowledge of self-awareness, then basically creating laws to protect the self-awareness. But people get a hold of this stuff afterwards and do buffoonery with it. Even if you look at the 4 kings, that's like the 4 horsemen in each one, and the 4 of God. It's like, okay, he who can hear, understand. Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. Abraham is bringing all type of idols into this stuff, and then he's bringing. Now, if you notice, Brahma has millions of gods involved. I'm telling you guys, polytheism is mixing throughout the world, and then it's becoming monotheism later, a mega beast. And he blessed Abram's Salem. The Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out the bread and wine. He was priest of who I am most high, and he blessed Abram, saying, Blessed be ye, Abram, most by who I am, creator of the heart and flesh. See, and Melchizedek is saying this. Praise be to who I am, who delivered your enemies into your hand. Then Abram gave to him 1/10 of everything. So now all the stuff from Melech is carrying down. Why do you think Dude said, I can raise children of Abraham with these stones? Because I am the Most High, and people are following Abraham. First Noah, then Abraham, then Aaron, then Lot. Because if Moses, and pay attention to this, if Moses is an Egyptian and he's the one that brings the Most High and all this other stuff, and the Egyptians before him, then why in the world would they bury Moses and then say the Semitic people were the god of Shem? Right, like I'm trying to tell you guys, the Semitic people took this stuff and went to buffoonery land. Then Europe did later in history. You're looking at Egypt, Babylon and Persia, and Greece and Rome. Moses and Joshua dealt with Egypt. Elijah Muhammad dealt with Babylon and Persia, and John the Baptist and Juan, Zoroaster dealt with, or Zoroaster/Elijah dealt with Babylon. Muhammad dealt with Persia, so to speak. John dealt with Rome, and now I'm here for Greece. So I'm trying to tell y'all basically the 4 brothers that basically came and did what they need to do after Moses and Ham. So you guys can watch my other videos if this sounds confusing. I basically said you after the time periods of history, you have Adam, whose name was slain, the beginning language, basically. Then you have Ham, Moses, Joshua, Elijah, John, and Juan, which is the 6 angels to redeem Adam, the 7th, the beginning man. So then Aram, or Aram. See if you even take his name, Aram. I'm telling you guys. Gave him 1/10 of everything, and it has B in the middle. Took my name. That's funny. The king of Sodom said to Abram, give me the people and the goods for yourself. But Abram said to the king of Sodom, with raised hand I've sworn an oath to who I am. But he swore to Melchizedek, creator of the heart and flesh, that I will accept nothing belonging to you, not even the thread of the strap of your sandal, so that you will never be able to say, I made Abram rich. I will accept nothing what my men have eaten, and share that belongs to the men who went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them have their share. So all these different people and nations are being conquered by Brahma. And then basically what this dude is doing after he goes up to Egypt, he takes a whole bunch of stuff and conquers even more stuff. After this, the word of who I am came to Brahma in a vision. Do not be afraid. I am your shield, your very great reward. But look what his reward was. He didn't realize what was to come. He was being spoken to in the heart, but he was being influenced by Melchizedek. But Abram said, what can you give me, since I remain childless, and the one who will inherit my state is Eliezer of Damascus? Said Abram said, you have given me no children, so a servant and my household will be my heir. So look, this is super prophetic. Now look at what he produced: Ishmael and Israel. Basically, Judah, or not Judah, but the Jews right now of today, and Islam. All right, is anybody understanding what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Understanding is the key to open many doors. So I am faithful and confident many will understand. And Abram said, no children. Then the word of who I am came to him. So let your fruits be known. You see how violent and oppressive these children of Aram is? Brahma meat. He took him outside and said, look up at the sky and count the stars. Indeed, you can count them. Then he said to him, so shall your offspring be. Abram believed who I am, and he credited it to him as righteousness. He also said to him, I am the one who brought you out of Ur, of the Chaldeans, to give you this land to take possession of it. But Abram said, how can I know that I will gain possession of it? So Huam said to him, bring me that heifer, a goat, and a ram, each 3 years old, along with the dove and the young pigeon. Hey, I had to destroy these last 3 religions. This is what it is. Abram brought all these to him, cut them in 2, and arranged the halves opposite of each other. The birds, however, he did not cut in half. Then the birds of the prey came down on the carcass, but Abram drove them away. As the sun was setting, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and a thick, dreadful darkness came over him. Then Huam said to him, know for certain that for 400 years your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and they will be enslaved and mistreated there. But I will punish the nation they serve as slaves, and afterward they will come out with great possessions. You, however, will go to your ancestors in peace and be buried at a good old age. And the 4th generation, your descendants will come back here, for the sin of the Amorites has not yet reached its full measure. So now the truth, remember, I will come to speak to them in dreams. Now the truth is coming and letting him know and basically what's going to happen, because he's giving Melchizedek reverence, the God of the Jews, Melech of the Jews. So this stuff is really prophetic and symbolic. And when you go deeper, like I believe the problem is that a lot of people look at this as literal. And the problem is when you look at something literal and perpetuate it, you're not taking your own creativity. You're not taking your own most high. You're not taking your own lifeblood to create something beautiful. You're perpetuating a curse. So this is me redeeming Abram, because I'm trying to tell you guys, this dude was influenced by his forefathers, Nimrod and them. Then when he did leave, he was giving reverence to Melchizedek. But because who I am is faithful indeed and loving, I'm going back and reproofing this stuff and helping. So basically, even if he did go and reform all these lands, what I'm saying is afterwards, these people have bloodied and tarnished his name and sent people back into paganism and whatnot. When the sun had set and darkness had fallen, a smoking fire pot with a blazing torch appeared and passed between the pieces. On the day Huayim made a covenant with Abram and said, to your descendants I give this land from Wadi of Egypt to the great river of Euphrates, to the land of Canaan. Now see, look what happened, and look what's happening now. So they were given a blessing, but they didn't understand it. Look what's happening to Shem now. Japheth is extending its borders and trying to war and take a whole bunch of land. So people are basically being promised a whole bunch of land that's not theirs, instead of understanding righteously that this is to come through spirit because he taught. And so you guys are Abraham's seed. You're the promised lands. The spirits of our forefathers go in through righteous words and teach us, not physical, actual land. The land of the Kenites, Kenizzites, Kadmonites, Hittites, Perizzites, Rephaites, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, and Jebusites. Now Sarah, Abram's wife. So this is basically talking about when he went to Egypt, he got himself an Egyptian woman. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had bore him no children, but she had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. So she said to Abram, Huayim has kept me from having children. Go sleep with my slave. So look what's happening right now. The Hyksos invade Egypt and in their slavery. And then they forgot their forefathers, and then it becomes oppressive. And then to Ishmael, he will be wild like a donkey. So everybody that gets a hold of Moses, what happens? They get free and cannot be tamed. And then Isis Rael, who mixed into Egypt, right, because they were Semitic. Now look what lives out to this day with the black Hebrew Israelites and the Jews. Like, I'm not saying, like, just like I said, I'm not saying those people are evil. I'm saying the division and hatred and arguments and fighting back and forth. Abram agreed to do what Sarah said. So after Abram had been living in Canaan 10 years until completion, to commandments, Sarai, his wife, took her Egyptian slave Hagar and gave to her husband, his wife. He slept with Hagar and she conceived. When she knew she was pregnant, she began to despise her mistress. So look what basically happened with the pharaohs. And they said, you're not going to, there's like, kill all the Hebrew boys. You're not going to have any babies or whatnot, and only take the daughters. This is basically a representation of how they got jealous when the Egyptians started to rise back and come back and rise. Then Sarah said to Abram, you are responsible for the wrong I am suffering. So right now, look at the people and what they're going through, the Israelites to this day and the people of Semitic culture. I put my slave in your arms, and now that she knows she is pregnant, she will despise me. May who I am judge between me and you. And I said she was wrong. Even with Abraham, Brahma, he was just basically trying to change the world. And a lot of people grabbed his garment and went to buffoonery land. Your slave is in your hands, Abram said. Do with her whatever you think best. Then Sarah mistreated Hagar, so she fled from her. This is her fleeing into the wilderness. Are y'all not understanding? The Egyptian woman, the angel of Huayim, found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was the spring besides the road to Shur. And she said, Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from, and where are you going? I'm running away from my mistress Sarai, she answered. The new Hyksos, the Hebrews. Then the angel of the Lord, Huayim, said to her, go back to your mistress and submit to her. Then the angel added, I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count. And the angel of Huayim said to her, now you are pregnant. So look, you have the Israelians who play all in Noah, Aaron, and all this other stuff. And now we're talking about Yeshua. But then you have the You have the people that actually get the 10 Commandments or actually get Jesus in their heart and like totally go away from the world and don't fight or like just live their life on some real stuff. So, who I am heard her in her misery. You will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone and his hand against him, and he will live in hostility towards all his brothers. So if you really pay attention to that, look what happened toward later down the line. What did Samson do once he got to the Middle East? It started becoming wild, right? Samson took the jawbone of an ass. The body of Christ went into Jerusalem on a donkey. Balaam was riding a donkey. I'm trying to tell y'all, it basically turned into the people was turning the Torah into world's religion. And because there's actually 3 books if you pay attention. There's the Old Testament. There's the Torah, the Old Testament, and the New Testament. And I don't think a lot of people catch this. The Torah, it's really the 10 Commandments or the beginning man and their stories or whatever. It's really the 10 Commandments in Egypt. Well, then you have further, because if you look at the laws of Maya, it's really the 10 Commandments plus the first 3, the Ark of the Covenant, that was lost through time. And then Moses brought it back out. Well, then what ends up happening is you have a situation where now these people are creating. So you have Moses and Joshua who try to free from this foolishness, but then you have Aaron and Samuel and all these kings that are adding religion to the world. Well, then you have Elijah later on down the line. I believe he's the Old Testament. So you have basically like the Torah or whatever in the stories of Egypt that they turn into Semitic stuff. Then you have the Old Testament, which is the 12 minor prophets and the 4 major prophets, which is Elijah or Zoroaster. And then you have John the Baptist, which is the 12 apostles and the New Testament and the 4 gospels. And so you have the people that was getting a hold of Moses and being freed from this, which I'll call Ishmael, because none of them could be tamed. And then you have Isis Rael, the ones who follow along with world's religion and attack each other and make races out of it and divide the tribes and do all this other stuff like Aaron did. Joshua brought the stones together. Elijah brought the stones together. And John the Baptist brought the stones together. You are who I am who sees me, she said. Now I have seen one who sees me. So if you pay attention to this, the 1300 years on both sides, you have the 1300 years when from Moses till John the Baptist come, and then you have, and in between that time, you have Moses or you have Elijah. Well, then you have from the time John comes, you have another 1300 years, and in that 1300 years, then after that happens, from 300 A.D. after William Tyndale, or the 1250 years after William Tyndale, or after Rome made Christianity the major religion. In the 1500s, William Tyndale came forth and wrote a book. I say, in this day and age, William Tyndale and Martin Luther King are the 2 witnesses. But in the actual revelation, it's Elijah and John the Baptist. And the reason I say that is because the Old Testament with the prophets and then the New Testament with the apostles. And then Moses and Joshua, who did any of this, and the Lord who stands before the earth, the 10 Commandments, or who I am at the moment, with the 2 witnesses in front of me, John and Elijah. And so that's really prophetic. The 1250 years until the wilderness, he came out of the wilderness, and then 1250 years until William Tyndale wrote that book, the 1500s, after Catholicism made Christianity the religion in 300 AD, and then 400 years after that, here I am, and I was born in the 1900s, the 400-year Exodus, super prophetic. Now I have seen the one who sees me. That is why the well was called Bir Leah Roy. It is still there between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram gave his name Ishmael to the son she had born. Abram was 86 years old. 86, son of a bitch. 600 years and then 8 passengers came off the ark. Like John Core Books used to say in a lot of my beginning videos, and I'm really transparent. If you don't believe me, there's nothing I can do. John Core Books used to say in a lot of my videos, this is prophetic, scripture coming true, prophetic. You studied a lot. Bro, from what I know, I was given this book all until I got older. And then basically I started to study on my own. And after doing my videos, I started to see prophecies coming true. Not prophecies I looked for It was actually happening in real time. So the new covenant I brought forth, there's two phrases, I am who I am, and then the freedom phrase, I am who I am send me, that has ham in it, who I am. If you turn H on its side, it's I am. And then you have Mentuhotep 2, I talked about that before. So you have Ham and Moses. Moses draws from the rivers, I'm the one who freed you from the land of Egypt. Then you have no gods, no idols, don't bow before them, and don't take who I am in vain. The four archangels, and then the six angels before the throne, and then the 8 commandments. I added thou shalt not rape back to it, which makes 12 commandments, the 12 tribes before the throne. 8 and 6, that's... Whew. When Abram was 99 years old, who I am appeared and said, I am Almighty. Walk before me and faithfully and be blameless. There we go again with blamelessness. And then I will make a covenant between you and it will greatly increase your numbers. Abram fell face down before who I am and said to him. So now this is Israel's. And see, look, it's at 99 before completion. That's funny. That's funny. It's crazy how all this... And then the 3 visitors. That's wild. Is that the first 3 commandments? They came to him and started to circumcise him. Covenant of circumcision. All right, hold on. Let me take a drink real quick. Give me a little break. When I say I do a lot of this for free, I am dead serious. So it takes me a little time to edit, and I'll be living my real life and doing what I got to do. So, then I will make my covenant between me and you and will greatly increase your numbers. Abram fell face down out of fear, and who I am said to him, as for me, you're not to fear. This is my covenant with you. You will be father of many nations, and boy, do they war. No longer will you be called Abram, but your name will be Abraham. For I have made you a father of many nations. And we'll see, now he's getting the covenants. Fruitful. I will make a nation of you. So I'm trying to tell all of y'all, everybody that's in Abraham, Christians, Babylonian Jews, Persian, Old Testamentian, Islam, Roman Catholics, Greek Christians, all y'all, Egyptians that are ISIS-Raelians, I guess, it's the 10 commandments. The first 3 plus the name and phrase. Put no gods and idols before who I am. Don't bow down to them. And do not take the name in vain, who I am in vain. Plus the 7 commandments. You all know them. Don't kill, don't steal, don't covet, don't commit adultery, don't bear false witness, honor thy father and mother, and keep the day of rest holy, which is a descriptive word. So don't adulter with who I am. Don't, and when I say that, yes, marriage, but I'm talking about the Most High. It's in each of us. I will establish my covenant as an everlasting covenant between me and you and your descendants after, for you in the generations to come, to be, I am who I am of your descendants after you, the whole land of Canaan where you now reside as a foreigner. I will give you as an everlasting possession. Gershom, the Moses part is like the wife, the flesh puts the circumcised meat on the feet, the brass feet that will stomp, and says, you are truly of my bone, and yada yada, Gershom in a foreign land. Then Huram said to Abram, as for you, you must keep my covenant for you and your descendants after you, for the generations to come. This is my covenant to you and your descendants after you. The covenant you are to keep every male among you. When you see the rainbow, that's prophetic. The covenant you are to keep every male among you shall be circumcised. You are to undergo circumcision, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and you for generations to come. Every male who is 8 days, 8 again. Man, somebody's put... Those who are not of your offspring, whether born in your household or bought with you for money. So, thou shalt not rape two. Now 8 commandments and the 4 archangels, the 12 tribes. They must be circumcised. My covenant in your flesh is to be an everlasting covenant. Any circumcised male who has not been circumcised will then go into La La Land, I promise you, and go watch some of these videos on religion. And also, from my heart to you guys, it's good to circumcise the actual physical penis. I work in healthcare, and I got to tell you, the men that aren't circumcised have a really fucking hard time, and a lot of infections occur, and a lot of pus and a lot of nasty other stuff happens. I am that which is spoke to Abraham. As for Sarah, your wife, you are no longer to call her Sarah. Her name will be Sarah. Ra. That's funny. Holy fuck. Sarah and Abraham make Aram. Oh shit, I knew it. I caught you. I will bless her. Isis Rael. Okay, so all that. I want to get to the part. Sodom and this too. 2 angels arrived at Sodom in the evening. Thou shalt have no gods before who I am, and don't bow to them. When he watched them, he got up to meet and bowed, and to his face to the ground. And actually, no, before that, I'm going to tell you the first 2 angels, which I really believe it is. I am who I am sent me, and I am the one who freed you from the land of Egypt, the bondage of slavery. Don't grab other men's garments. It's good to learn from them and be taught by them, but they're going to lead you into the wilderness if you're not careful. When he saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed with his face to the ground. My lords, he said, please turn aside from your servant's house. You can wash your feet and spend the night and then go on your way early in the morning. No, they answered, we will spend the night in the square. But he insisted so strongly that they did go with him into the entire house. So now Abraham has the covenant, right? I'm telling y'all, he's burning these places up. All right, I'm sorry. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, where are the men who came to you tonight? They drew for lots, trying to and threw the man off the shit because he got burnt up. Who's doing any of this? Abraham and Lot and all them. Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them. So basically, they trying to take the name of the phrase and become gods with it. But they blinded the men. I'm telling y'all, don't play with this covenant and follow it righteously. Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him and said, no, my friends, do not do this wicked thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you want with them. But don't do anything to these men. So it's basically saying, this is another way of saying people are following the covenant or the prophet that has the covenant. And so the prophet says, nope, we're not going to bow. Take the flesh instead. This is why I say, forget all that. Following the hearts. I don't do martyrdom that's sick and creates a fire of destruction. But I'm not, do what you're going to do in life, I guess. I was killing and murdering. If it hasn't been edifying for the last 6,000 years, I don't know what to tell people. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof. Get out of our way, they replied. This fellow came here as a foreigner, and now he wants to play the judge. We would treat you worse than them. So now they're mangling the prophet spirit. This is another way of saying the serpent got into the garden and made the flesh do something silly. They kept bringing pressure on Lot and moved forward towards to break the door down. But the men inside reached out, pulled Lot back into the house and shut the door. Then they struck the men who were at the door in the house, young and old, with blindness so they could not find the door. Now see what I'm saying? Now these people are off in La La Land and religion because they was playing with a covenant and now acting ridiculous. So that's basically explaining these stories. And then the fire that don't consume came down. When they get the whole covenant, it be wild. And so then that's basically saying Abraham couldn't find a single spirit or teaching throughout Sodom and Gomorrah, so he had to burn it all up. That's what I'm telling y'all. Y'all don't want me to read the Talmud and the Gomorrah and all that, because if I read it, it won't be a Talmud no more. Because if y'all had what I have that y'all had in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, the whole generation would be saved. But it is written, as you all like to play in the wilderness. So I believe there's still one more day according to written prophecy until 3000 AD. But I am who I am, and I am here to redeem. And so anybody, oh, this is what I want to show y'all too. Abimelech. Man. That's wild. So like now look, Abraham moved on from there into the region of Negev. And this is explaining how Amalek got Melchizedek and Amalek. I'm trying to tell you all. For a while he stayed in Gerar. And then Abram said to his wife Sarah, she is my sister. Then Amalek king of Gerar sent for Sarah to take her. But Huam came to Amalek in a dream and said in the night, you are as good as who I am not, because of the woman you have taken the flesh. She is married. Same thing that it was said to Pharaoh. But now, if you pay attention to this, he gave the wife up. So this is basically saying the spirit had no control if the king is taking the people. So if a people is being, just this same thing as King Herod and the Greeks and the Romans taking Jews. And I can tell y'all, a Jew only means circumcised heart. It's from Yehuda or Joshua, from Akhenaten, Nathan, Yonatan. I'm trying to tell y'all, Yehohanan. So they turned it into the tribe of Judah. But Judah, if you remove the H and add an S, it's Judas. They basically went to La La Land. You see, they sending people to Aaron and Noah. So, yeah, this is basically a story about a whole bunch of people raping other people spiritually and physically. The whole book. People taking people's garments and acting nuts with it and forgetting the covenant and creating religions out of it. Becoming mighty daughters of men, or daughters, sons of who I am, kings and stuff on the earth, taking daughters of men. So, hold on, let's say something real quick. I wanted to take out to the part with the Pharaoh. Bear with me real quick. Okay, here we go. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt. So they had no crops or anything, and so he decided to go into Egypt. This is the Hyksos. I'm going to show you something real quick. Why I say certain people's hand and why I say. So, from this time, Middle Kingdom Egypt, there was a man named Mentuhotep. That's him 10, if you transliterate that. They moved a whole bunch of, because it used to be garments or Bethlehem. It's the garment of him or ham, or the flesh over the spirit. So then what they did was, so the flesh was trying to tell the truth, and they enslaved Africa, if that makes sense. So then look, you have Amos. Well, Amos had to reform Egypt, and this is why. They invaded Egypt around the 1800s BC. So then the Hebrews appear. This is the Asiatic invaders, Asiatic shepherd kings or something like that. I don't know. They were like light-skinned, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So this is really like Jacob and Esau too, because once they became Israel, then the Asiatics, Hebrews and Egyptians was fighting back and forth. Asiatic invaders, and I don't. So I'm trying to explain this to the best of my ability. You guys are calling yourselves Hebrews. You guys are saying you're not Esau. You guys are saying you're not, like, people are just mixing stories upon stupidity upon. And I got a lot of videos explaining a lot of this about the actual people in history with Egypt and the Hyksos and Semitic people and all this other stuff. So this is what I'm trying to explain to y'all. So this is Abram going to Egypt. As he was about to enter, he said to his wife Sarah, so now at first Amalek took his wife. his people. But this dude now is lying so that he can get riches and spoils. So that basically, this is basically saying these people went to Egypt and took their stuff and then made it seem like it was theirs and plagued the pharaohs. So I'm telling you, the people you guys are giving reverence to, basically who I am is having to even draw them out to save them. Now you notice after he went to Egypt, now he's getting all these blessings and saving Sodom and Gomorrah and getting all this land and defeating Amalek, but getting his people taken and coming back and rising. I'm telling y'all, this is coming from Egypt. Egypt was the garden at first. So I hope that can be edifying. You guys keep calling yourselves the children of Abraham and all this other stuff, and you're mixing historical stuff. You're mixing, first of all, Mean Narmer, this guy. Mean Narmer, Cain the farmer, reformed Egypt. Means Narmer. So when this guy did that, he did it through conquering. He spread all throughout the world. He spread it up to where it would be now Canaan. He went to east to build a city, Canaan. He spread to Canaan, Babylon, all those other places. Then Babylon comes up with all this Enki and Enlil and all these gods. Then they come back around. So after he did this, then this man down here, Mentuhotep. He's in the description. I've got him in my videos. If you guys want to learn about him, I could click on it, but I have to go through stuff. So this guy reforms Egypt because Mean Narmer started creating a whole bunch of buffoonery because he reformed it, but made a bunch of people rich and created like oppression and stuff. So then this man in 2000 fixed it. Well, what ends up happening is the Hyksos come and invade. Then after they invade, this man, Amos, fixes it. Now, everybody keeps saying Amen isn't from Egypt. Amen isn't from Egypt. Right here, the man who stole Moses' stuff and tore down the Amun and all that, considered a god on earth after Pharaoh. I will make you like a god to them. You guys keep saying amen. I'm trying to tell y'all. And then Tutmos, 3 times you will deny me. It's like prophetic. And it all lived out. Because they're messing with stuff they don't understand. The word and the spirit and source code. So, anybody that can understand what I'm telling y'all, I have found Joshua, David, Saul, Tut, Ramsey, all these people. They're pharaohs. And then Semitic people took their stuff. And a man named Zoroaster had to reform Egypt. Because watch this. It was the laws of Ma'at, which is what Cain spread throughout the world. Laws of Ma'at. Now look. All this afterlife and the eagle and all these laws. Now look at these. These are the 10 Commandments. Moses had to draw out of this stuff. But because they started worshiping gods and creating blasphemies and stuff. Now Noah, I think in the King James or some version, it said stuff about blasphemy and all this other stuff. That's Noah. Noah and Pharaoh is the same word, minus the prefix. He hid in the field. Mean Narmer created all this religion and lived on through religion, through his words and stuff. Well, then you go even farther. Look at this. Phoenicians. This. See? Then, and Sodom and Tyre and all this other stuff. This is what the prophets is talking about. It's the fire flamix phoenix bird from Egypt. And look, the lion. Can anybody see what I'm saying? The lion and all this other stuff. You see what I'm saying? So then this man had to come and reform it. This man right here. Zerah. And they keep talking about, are you Elijah? Are you Elijah? This man, Zoroaster, he had to come in and reform all that flaming phoenix stuff when it turned into the divine masculine. And then they say he's the one that influenced Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. He is. But he had to fix it and reform it, because when it was Phoenicians, they was murdering people from Amalek, burning children on fire temples and all that stuff. So I'm just trying to explain to y'all, man, like in true history what's going on. And anybody who likes what I'm saying and can understand, watch my videos, subscribe, like, and join along and get some valuable information. I keep telling y'all keep worshiping these different men in this book, and y'all are plaguing yourselves. Because it goes against the 10 Commandments and the covenant anyway.
Larry, you know you paying your mama hospital bill, but let me use your credit card. Babe, I got 10 views on my SoundCloud. I'm about to blow up. I just need your credit card one time for some studio time, that's it. I love you so much. Bro, I'm just here for a gram. Like I told you on the phone, I don't even do pills. So can you go get it, or can you take me to it, or follow me? Bet, thanks.
유난히도 캄캄한 밤에 나 홀로 너를 생각하네. 이런 기분 설명할 수 없어. 원래 이맘쯤 너와의 여행을 생각했었는데 네가 좋아하던 와인과 선물을 준비했겠지. 기뻐할 너를 상상하며. 근데 왜 이런 생각을 하면서 너를 추억만 하게 된 건지. 어쩌다 너와 나 왜 이렇게 끝난 건지. 너를 기억하면 난 가슴이 아파와. 어쩌다 너와 나 이렇게 잊혀진다면 다시 사랑할 수 없을 것 같아. 그날의 나는 내게 너무 낯설었겠지. 내 맘과 다르게 너에게 상처를 줬으니. 사랑한다는 말로도 부족했던 너에게 내가 너무 잘못한 것 같아. 너와 나의 다른 생각이 결국엔 우리를 서로 갈라서게 만들었어. 근데 왜 이런 얘기를 하게 된 건지 난 모르겠어. 어쩌다 너와 나 왜 이렇게 끝난 건지. 너를 기억하면 난 가슴이 아파와. 어쩌다 너와 나 이렇게 잊혀진다면 다시 사랑할 수 없을 것 같아. 말은 해줘야 하는데 내 마음 변하지 않았다고. 모든 게 오해야. 내 얘길 들어주길 바래. 어쩌다 너와 나 왜 이렇게 끝난 건지. 너를 기억하면 난 가슴이 아파와. 어쩌다 너와 나 이렇게 잊혀진다면 다시 사랑할 수 없을 것 같아. 어쩌다 너와 나 왜 이렇게 된 건지. 시간이 지날수록 네가 보고 싶어. 어쩌다 너와 나 이렇게 잊혀진다면 다시 사랑